Alright, let me get straight to the point. This was difficult as fuck. Ordering theme parks I almost think is harder than ordering roller coasters, as there are so many more elements I have to consider. Do I judge a location objectively or by my own personal preferences? Fine, I'll settle somewhere in the middle. What are my priorities when visiting a park? Thrills or theming? Can it be both? But then which is more important? What about operations, food, service, atmosphere, so on and so forth? Know that this list won't and can't be perfect, but I recognize it's such a relevant topic, so I knew I had to pull the plug and do it. Since the last time I ranked my top theme parks more than 2 years ago, my opinions about some locations have changed, whether it be due to repeat visits or time allocated for reflection. And of course, I've also been fortunate enough to visit many new parks in Europe and America, so you will be seeing quite a few entries void from previous lists. It's for the same reason that I decided to make this video randomly at the end of April, because later this year and early next year, I have loads of trips planned, including Asia, possibly the Middle East, and Universal's new theme park, Epic Universe, in just a few days, which is the most excited I've been for a park in years. I wanted to leave room for an update because when these trips come up, they can and will significantly alter my top 25. If you have interest in seeing my initial reactions early, check out the Coaster Dash Patreon. You'll also be entitled to early ad-free content, our exclusive podcast Dashcast, and so much more. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started with a quick honorable mention: Santa's Village in Jefferson, New Hampshire. It's one of the most charming, beautiful theme parks I've ever visited. They do almost everything right, but since it is catered specifically to kids, the rides do bring it down. I still had a good time on them, but I can't realistically compare something like this to thrill parks that have massive budgets. Just know that if I were a kid or had kids, this would be sky high on my list of parks. And I will say this much: if I had to pick what my favorite New England park was, it would be this, not Six Flags. Number 25, Jura Summerland in Denmark. Perhaps a lesser known park when compared to others that'll come later, the reason I devoted a spot to this Danish gem was because it's a perfect encapsulation of what makes small parks in Europe great. It's got a surprisingly solid coaster lineup consisting of 3 distinctly different intimates with a potential 4th on the way that could do big things for them. But it's not the rides that really did it for me, it was the atmosphere and staff. Few parks have made me feel so at home, with an incredibly welcoming vibe and playful employees that really take the time to elevate your experience. Number 24, Holiday World in Indiana. This one I found incredibly tough to rank, as I had to put my biases aside that said because they host the greatest coaster enthusiast event ever, they have to be top 10. But realistically, that's only 2 operating days out of every season, and I have been to Holiday World outside of the event before, so I feel like it makes more sense to judge it that way instead. Even so, this is a well-kept family-owned park with an inviting ambiance. Being completely honest though, I never thought it was as charming or themed as people said it was, so if you think Holiday World is low on my list, that could be why. But I definitely do appreciate that amenities and enhanced guest experience that's worked into the price of admission, along with the stupendous wooden coaster collection that I do believe to be the very best in the world. Number 23, Six Flags Great America in Illinois. I was skeptical about this park ahead of my first visit, as I've had hit or miss experiences at Six Flags parks across the continent. But this one was noticeably better kept and run than the others, with quicker operations, great availability, solid presentation, and oh yeah, one of the deepest lineups of roller coasters in the world. They don't quite have that true standout ride in my opinion, but if you can look past that, there's virtually no gaps within their collection. Number 22, Lisberg in Sweden. Located smack dab in the middle of a sizable population center, I find that most city parks struggle due to a lack of land, but not this one. Lisberg has gotten stupid creative with the way they've crammed in a bunch of rides and roller coasters into a tight space. They have a genuinely spectacular variety of attractions, many of which being unique, and the kinetic atmosphere stands out among nearly all parks I've visited. It's a phenomenally well-maintained park with great staff and a pleasure to spend a day at. Number 21, Six Flags Magic Mountain in California. The largest of my home parks, I have a love-hate relationship with Magic Mountain, in part because I frequent it so often. On one hand, they have easily a top 3 coaster collection that I've ever seen, and more than any other park on earth with 20. I've made so many phenomenal memories on these rides that I will cherish forever, but beyond that, and I guess the setting's pretty cool, this park is not being utilized to its full potential, not even close actually. It has an outdated feel to it, operations can be dreadful, availability sucks, and it's low-key kinda gross, but ultimately the rides are just so good that it makes up for a lot of these negatives. Number 20, Alton Towers in England. This is another park I feel iffy about in some regards, but in others I think it's astounding. Visually, it's one of the most amazing theme parks out there, with pleasant gardens, ancient castles, and world-class theming. I also find it fascinating how they can't build above the tree line, so they're forced to get really creative with how they build their coasters in particular. It's just not run the greatest, with relatively poor operations and maybe the worst availability and reliability I've seen at any major park. Those are a big deal to me, but I otherwise love the place. Number 19, Disneyland Paris in France. I've been lucky enough to visit all all 6 Disney parks in America prior to this, so I generally had the right expectations going in. I believe that's what made the pros and cons of this park glaringly obvious, and we'll start with the former. Absolutely gorgeous property, some of the best landscaping I've seen in any theme park, and the fantastic operations and service I'd come to expect from the chain. But personally, the ride lineup here didn't impress me a whole lot, as they didn't have much uniqueness that differentiated it from other Disney parks. Probably my favorite thing here was Pirates of the Caribbean, which might not even be in my top 5 back home at Disneyland. Also, for whatever reason, the food sucks. That was very unlike Disney. Number 18, Busch Gardens Tampa in Florida. On a busy weekend, this place loses its magic as operations are far from their strong suit, but if you get to come on a quiet day, which fortunately has been most of my visits, that's no longer an issue, and Busch Gardens Tampa is amazing. They have a great lineup of roller coasters with a few nice flat rides sprinkled in, and the park is themed and presented wonderfully. I think their emphasis on wildlife is great. It really complements their other offerings. Number 17, Busch Gardens Williamsburg in Virginia. The sister park to Busch Gardens Tampa, I narrowly prefer this one as I resonate more with its theme. The European areas are really nicely done, and the attention to detail carries on to most of the rides and roller coasters. They have nearly as good of a lineup, maybe as good as Tampa, with the addition of the last few family attractions, which have been great. Really not much bad to say about this place. Number 16, Landia in Poland. A tale of two halves. See, one side of this park is weird and poorly themed, albeit clean and well kept, while the other is remarkably detailed, stunningly maintained, and home to a higher concentration of quality attractions. Landia has a lot of junk in their lineup, but they also have some gems, including one of the world's greatest coaster top 2s. Additionally, operations are lightning fast and food is tremendous. It's a really nicely run park nowadays, but I just wish they'd go back and improve their older sections. Number 15, Six Flags Fiesta Texas in Texas. By far the best legacy Six Flags, and it's not even close. Keep in mind my only visits to this park took place prior to the last few years of ride additions and theming upgrades, so my view of Fiesta Texas is literally outdated, and to think it's gotten exponentially better is hard to believe. They already had a terrific lineup of attractions, great operations, and a gorgeous setting. What's not to love? Number 14, Canobyl in Pennsylvania. One of the most unique parks to make my list, Canobyl feels like a step back in time. It's got that old school vibe without feeling outdated or tacky. Even their rides and roller coasters fit the bill. They're almost all unique. Beyond that, it's the little things about Canobyl that elevate it to the next level. The craziest variety of food in any park I've visited, an amazing charm and ambiance, quick operations, and the fact that you can enter for free without having to pay for anything, among lots of other things. Number 13, Hershey Park in Pennsylvania. I always go back and forth which park I prefer in this state, but Canobyl and Hershey are nearly impossible to compare. This is very much an amusement park as opposed to a theme park, but you know what? They do it right. They're home to a top 3 greatest roller coaster lineup on the planet in my opinion, and beautifully maintained. The entire park is spotless and remains consistent one area to the next. I also always look forward to the food here. They've got some of the gnarliest desserts and restaurants you'll find in any theme park. Number 12, Disney's Animal Kingdom in Florida. While there might not be a whole lot to do, and dare I say it can be a challenge to spend a full day here, I think this is Disney's most beautiful park by a mile. It's got stupendous atmosphere and landscaping with immensely themed rides that blend in seamlessly to each of the different areas. Similar to Busch Gardens Tampa, I also really appreciate the emphasis on animals and conservation here. Then you top it off with your typical Disney advantages and you got yourself one of Florida's best theme parks. But no longer my favorite at Walt Disney World. That honor now belongs to Epcot at the number 11 spot. For the longest time, I felt as though Epcot was lacking in that one standout attraction, but lo and behold, they get their first roller coaster and knock it way out of the ballpark. See, now I have very little negatives to share about this park, and none major enough to note in this video. The front half has great landscaping and a fun futuristic vibe, but the back half with World Showcase really steals the show in my opinion. Just a spectacular idea that's executed brilliantly, and I think it's my favorite part of any Disney theme park I've been to. Number 10, Europa Park in Germany. In many ways, this feels like an even bigger, more well-themed iteration of Epcot. Where that's one of 4 total theme parks in its resort, Europa Park is where all the attention is given from its owners, the Mock family. This beloved manufacturer uses this park as a testing ground, and while that's been the cause for some not-so-great attractions, it's also brought forth some truly remarkable ones. Same thing can be said about their dark rides. While not all of them are great, those that are good are very good. Number 9, Parc Astérix in France. Moving one country over, I totally fell in love with this park during my only ever visit in 2023. I couldn't believe how nicely themed it was, and their operations may have been the best I've ever seen. They've made great strides the past couple years, improving or even adding in some great stuff, and you put that all together, you have genuinely one of the best parks in the world. It's not talked about nearly as much as it should. I'd urge all of you watching to visit on your next trip to Europe. Number 8, Dollywood in Tennessee. This is one of those rare parks where you can expect a near perfect experience every time because it's just that good. Gorgeous landscaping, a stunning setting, awesome food, perfect operations, and a world-class lineup of roller coasters. We've reached a point where I no longer really have much of anything bad to say about these parks. There's just others that I think are a little better. Number 7, Silver Dollar City in Missouri. It's been a number of years since I've been here, but I have extremely fond memories of this park. Rather than its sister park, Dollywood, which has a whole bunch of distinct areas, Silver Dollar City is one cohesive theme the whole way through. There's not quite as many standout roller coasters coasters, but the ones they have are terrific, so that's not much of a complaint. I'd say what really pushed it over the edge for me is the fact that they have an included cave tour, which as a nature lover who's gotten to experience a whole bunch of those across the country, Silver Dollar City's Marvel Cave is legitimately outstanding, one of the best caves I've ever done. Number 6, Cedar Point in Ohio. It's crazy to have this outside of the top 5 because if you know anything about Cedar Point, you'll know it's got the world's greatest roller coasters, and that's not debatable. There's literally 3 coasters here inside of my top 25 out of over 1,000 credits, not to mention another that I've yet to ride that also has the potential to land somewhere in there. It's got a euphoric location, that peninsula is beautiful and it feels like a thrilled ride's oasis. It can be frustrating to visit on a crowded day, which is almost every day for this park unfortunately, and its operations really aren't as good as they could be, but I still love this park so much. Number 5, Kings Island in Ohio. I think this is the best run corporate amusement park out there. Aside from its massive investments, large size, and similarities to other legacy Cedar Fair parks, you'd never be able to tell. I always have a phenomenal experience here due to their 10 out of 10 operations, exceptional atmosphere, and top tier lineup of roller coasters. The very best non-themed park I've ever been to. Number 4, Efteling in the Netherlands. I've always been a massive fan of this park, but after returning last summer, I began to realize that it doesn't exactly have any downsides. It's perfect visually with so much great theming and landscaping, and they might have my favorite dark ride collection outside of a Disney or Universal park. Also, some coasters that would otherwise be just okay without theming are dramatically accentuated here. Oh, and how could I forget about the Fairy Tale Forest? That alone would have made my top 25 if it were a park. Number 3, Universal's Islands of Adventure in Florida. While some parts of this park are a bit dated, others are astoundingly well themed and beautiful. But what elevates this into my top 3 is perhaps the most well-rounded variety of rides on Earth. 3 outstanding roller coasters, 3 great dark rides, and 3 of the best water rides on the planet. Top it off with those Universal staples, operation, service, and atmosphere, and this could have easily been number 1. Any of the top 3 could have, depending on how I'm feeling. Number 2, Fantasia Land in Germany. The most impeccably themed park I've ever visited. Words cannot describe the attention to detail packed in here. They've also put in some legitimately thrilling coasters that are as immersive as all get out. Everything else about this place is overwhelmingly great, especially their food, which I think is the best of any theme park I've been to. But there was still one spot that ranked above it, and you can call it sentimental bias, but still, give me Disneyland in California at number 1. There's never a dull moment at Disneyland, whether it be walking around, soaking in their atmosphere and theming, outstanding operations, to their splendid culinary offerings, and perfect ride lineup. Sure, they may not have the roller coaster some of you are looking for, but as someone who values a high quality dark ride just as much, this place is stacked. And it's not like they don't have coasters, they still have some really fun ones. But I swear, their 10th best overall attraction is better than most major parks' very best, so if that doesn't give this ranking away, I'm not sure what does. Even though I live an hour and a half away, I always look forward to visiting Disneyland. It's legitimately flawless. Thanks so much for watching everyone, I really appreciate it. Be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to Coaster Dash for more content like this in the future. Much love for all the support, keep crushing it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye guys.